Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Google MF Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio. We are awaiting the arrival of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, great. If he doesn't, then we'll see him on Monday night. We're going to dive right on in. We're going to start out with Smackdown Live, and it was from the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, New York City, home of the New York Liberty, home of the New York Knicks, home of the New York Rangers. Sold out, 13,000 plus in the Garden. The SRO signs were up, and it was a actual sellout. 100% sold out in the Garden, and they started it with a trial. They went to Tribal Chief Court trial of Roman Reigns, and I will say this: it wasn't as good as the trial of Sami Zayn was. However, this was really good of a segment. It was exactly what it needed it to be. There was a lot of heart, a lot of fire, a lot of passion, a lot of everything. The beatdown after was predictable, but it served its purpose. This took a while, at least 35 to 40 minutes of the show. And you know what? Fine. I didn't care. It was good for me. I enjoyed it. I loved it. Anything when it comes to SmackDown Live, this was what it needed it to be. Roman got massive heat for what he did. Solo will get massive heat for what he did. Jay and Jimmy will be sympathetic figures, and now fans are really behind the Usos now more than ever. What it needed it to be was exactly what it was. The exhibits, the evidence that the Usos brought was amazing. That was absolutely top notch. Roman's performance in this was absolutely flawless. Everybody played the part really well. It was, to me, as a segment, obviously segment of the night, but it was not better than the trial of Sami Zayn. That was a 5-star classic segment. This year, I say 4 to 4.5. It wasn't perfect, but it was damn good, and I enjoyed it. I liked it. It was exactly what it needed it to be, and it led us to something down the line that we all knew it was going to be. Just the mere fact of how it played out, from Roman basically saying, look, as tribal chief, I have to do everything, not just for my family, but for yours as well. And the way that it went, to the moment where he put that wreath or that shawl over Jimmy or Jay and went down on bended knee, I was like, what is going on? Like, at a moment you were thinking, has Roman given up the throne? Has Roman passed the torch to Jey Uso as the new tribal chief? Nope, not by a long shot. You got to do a lot more than to take that away from Roman Reigns. But it was exactly what it needed it to be. To do it in the Garden in New York City was the perfect backdrop. And this was a segment that we will talk about for a long time, but definitely was the segment of the night. Not 5 stars like the past, but it was a perfect progression of the Bloodline storyline, which, oh, by the way, is still the marquee thing on SmackDown today. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
Well, I'll tell you, MF, one quarter of last night's show was dedicated to a tribal court segment featuring the Usos, Solo Sikoa, Paul Heyman, and undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns that featured some of the best work of the latter's career and the latest developments in one of the greatest storylines in WWE history. Reigns was at his manipulative, gaslighting best just when the world thought he had turned a new leaf and was ready to hand over control of the bloodline to Jey Uso. He delivered a low blow that gave way to a wild and chaotic brawl that teased Solo Sikoa taking over the mantle as tribal chief before standing tall alongside his cousin after obliterating Jimmy Uso. The injury angle that occurred after the break in which Jimmy was stretchered out of the arena and left in an ambulance would seemingly take him out of the picture and set up a scenario in which Jey will have to go it alone if he is to challenge Roman for his title, presumably as early as SummerSlam. In the world's most famous arena with the eyes of the wrestling world on them, as everyone wondered what the next chapter in the program would hold, this hit the proverbial ball out of the park. The crowd is now singing along to the entrance theme of the Usos, continuing something that started last Saturday in London. Heyman, he said, none of you will ever tell Paul Heyman to stop talking, just seconds before Solo stopped him from talking by taking the mic away. Reigns is so in touch with his character at this point. He does everything from the tone of his voice to the facial expressions and the body language to perfection, even trying to prop himself up by wearing the ceremonial lei of the tribal chief despite coming off a loss. And Reigns demanded answers as to why he was called to New York City. He said, who has the authority to call me out here and put me on trial? And then Roman said at his gaslighting best, you think I wanted to do that? I did it for you. And then Roman said, I'm done with all of it. I don't want it anymore. You want it, it's yours. Before tossing the mic down and handing over the aforementioned lei. And then Reigns tossed down his undisputed Universal Championship belt before Jey and delivered a low blow, proving once again that his manipulation tactics are better than anyone's. A brawl ensued. The heels got the upper hand and tied Jey up in the ropes, forcing him to watch as they battered Jimmy. Sikoa drove Jimmy through a table to close out the segment. Incredible segment. I don't know what else there is to say that hasn't been said already. We're definitely looking at Roman and Jey at SummerSlam here. There's your main event right there. So, what a way to start off. An arena that is celebrating 60 years of WWE. This is the 60th anniversary of WWE in Madison Square Garden that has given us so many history-making moments that has made MF on zillions of occasions in his screaming Michael Fletcher best say, history has been made, unprecedented crowning, the whole nine. So many, and here's another one to add to that scrapbook. So what a way to start it off. And 35 to 40 minutes, that's why the show flew by so quickly last night. And we're here for it. So there isn't much more to say. MF, we have a championship match. Let's do it.
For the United States heavyweight title, it is the champion, Austin Theory, versus the challenger, Sheamus. Winner of the bout, 13 minutes, 47 seconds, and still the United States heavyweight champion, Austin Theory. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
Yes, indeed. 3.5 stars. I was going to give it around 3 3/4, teetering on 4, but I'm bumping it down to 3.5 because of the interference, but it was still a damn good match. The match was solid enough from what we got to see of it, but was hampered by excessive commercial breaks. It was likely to make up for the length of the Bloodline segment, but it really hurt the home viewers' ability to invest in what they were seeing because of the 2 poorly timed interruptions. The finish was a bit predictable, especially with the Brawling Brutes and Pretty Deadly involving themselves, which means the program will likely continue long enough to conclude at SummerSlam. Still, the effort was there, and the competitors have solid enough chemistry to overcome the negative and still deliver quality in-ring content. Pretty Deadly hit the ring right on schedule, distracting the Celtic Warrior and breaking up a cloverleaf submission attempt. Butch and Rich Holland arrived to fend off Kit Wilson and Elton Prince, accidentally providing just enough of a distraction of their own to allow Austin Theory to score the cheap win over Sheamus. So this was a 3.5-star match. And MF, there's nothing left for me to say except I got to do my vintage Jesse here from WrestleMania 5. Austin Theory pulling the tights and getting the win.
Yeah, definitely a good match. 3.5 stars total agreement. One of the few fights that really stood out. There was really nothing more to add there. So it could have been a better matchup, but it is what it is. There's really nothing more to add. Next up we had was the Grayson Waller effect. His guest was Edge. Good segment led to something later on in the night, so we'll get into that. Next up we had was Karrion Kross versus AJ Styles, and AJ Styles winning the match in 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Now, by default, worst fight of the night. I'm wondering if Kross is hurt. I'm wondering if Karrion Kross is legitly hurt, because that's some of the rumors that's been going around, that Kross might have gotten hurt. And that's why I think the match was short. Because body of work, Kross and AJ should have been a lot more longer than what it was. There's no way that this would have been a squash fight. I don't think Trips would have asked for it. I don't think anybody would have called for a squash fight in this situation. I think Kross is legitimately hurt, and I think we might need to keep a closer eye on this. Then we had Asuka promo interrupted by Bianca Belair, interrupted by Charlotte Flair. Then Bayley and Io Sky came out. They jumped. Then it looked like we had a possible Money in the Bank cash in the Garden. Nope. Bianca pulls Bayley out. She attacks because there was a moment she hit a moonsault, and Io looked at Bayley and was like, do it. Let's go. It's time. The crowd was going nuts, saying, oh my God, women's title fight in the Garden. No, Bianca pulls Bayley right out of the ring, much to the boo birds that came out after that. But the thing was, like Michael Cole expressed, Io did not give the case to the referee. Therefore, it is not an official cash-in. There was the thought of it. They thought of it. They went for it, but it never went to the referee. The referee never declared it. This is not an official cash-in, folks. Therefore, Io still has Money in the Bank. She could cash it in at any time. Would have been the perfect moment. Madison Square Garden, New York City, on Smackdown. Oh man, that would have been the perfect moment to do the cash in, but does not happen. Too many cooks in the kitchen, and yeah, did not happen. Minor disappointment for me because, oh my God, imagine, like, we've had some big moments in New York City. We've had some big moments in Madison Square Garden.
Over 60 years.
We've never had a Money in the Bank cash in the Garden, and we almost had it. Almost had it.
With all due respect, MF, I mean, I agree with you in that sense. I do. But I think it's obvious they're saving it. I mean...
Oh, obviously.
And...
They gotta wait for the right moment, the right time. And the thing is...
I think I know when it is. I think I know when it is. Because... we know where this is heading. It's heading towards Asuka versus Charlotte versus Bianca at SummerSlam Triple Threat. However, Asuka and Bianca are going one-on-one next week in Raleigh at the home of the Carolina Hurricanes there.
Yes. But
we know what's going to happen. Charlotte's going to get involved. It's going to end in a clunky finish. There's no question about that. And I think that's when the triple threat's going to get made official. Don't be surprised if the three of them beat the holy you-know-what out of each other and Io possibly picks the bone there. Just saying.
Hopefully she'll get to pick the bone, because remember, there's also Bayley.
Oh, yeah,
Is this the moment where Bayley tries to screws over Io? and thus the Money in the Bank becomes a failure? Or does she wait for Io to win it, backstab her, then try to go for the belt for herself? So, I mean, there's a number of ways that this can go. So, we'll see. All right. So, next up, right after that, it's Edge versus Grayson Waller. Edge winning the match in 14 minutes and 42 seconds. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
I got to call fight of the night here. I think I'm going to call for 4 stars. 4-star match. Edge silenced Grayson Waller in the main event of the in-ring portion of last night's show, but not without showing his young opponent a modicum of respect afterward. The Rated R superstar gave the Aussie loudmouth props for swimming instead of sinking in his first real opportunity to do so. The match was good as well, with Waller never really looking out of place against his Hall of Fame opponent. He went toe-to-toe with a guy who has done everything there is to do in professional wrestling and shined, earning the respect of the veteran. He is still unequivocally a heel, but a performance like this and a little sign of respect will go a long way in helping fans accept Waller as a player on the main roster. Waller said in response to the "You still got it" chance, "I've got it too." Waller delivered a somersault variation of the Unprettier, which Michael Cole really put over as a potentially insulting way to defeat the Rated R superstar. Waller's ability to talk during matches will only help him continue to get over with fans, while his in-ring work catches up to his main roster peers. Edge countered Waller's rolling stunner finisher with a spear for the win, and then Edge said in a nice show of respect, "Hey Waller, you swam." So we definitely got to, that's definitely something that we got to keep an eye on there. But all I know is this was a 4-star match. This was the fight of the night for me. So very well done. MF Grayson Waller, his first match. Congratulations, kid. You had your first match on the main roster. You're going to get your first match on the main roster. Look who your opponent is. The Rated R superstar, Hall of Famer, Grand Slam champion, who's won every title. Every single title. The only superstar who can say that. He's won every single belt. Royal Rumble, King of the Ring, Money in the Bank. He's done all of it. Grayson Waller went up against that guy last night. And kudos to Edge. Grayson Waller looked like a damn near $1 million last night. So, star-making performance. And I believe him, within the next couple of years or so, if they keep booking him like this, Grayson Waller could end up being a breakout star in the very near future.
Absolutely. Yeah. Total agreement. 4 to 4.25 stars. Great main event match. And it was exactly where it needed to be. Now, it was slow in certain areas, but it did pick up, especially towards the end. And it was an enjoyable match. That's the key word. It was enjoyable. So, yes, total agreement there. Then the main event segment, Roman Reigns coming back out with Solo Sikoa and basically telling New York to acknowledge him. Well, then Jey Uso come back out with an equalizer, a steel chair, laying out, went after Roman, then going after Solo, laying him out, and basically said, "You know what? That's it. I'm done with this." He's like, "You want to do a trial? Trial by combat. You and me, one-on-one, no brothers, no wise men. Leave everybody behind. Give me a shot so I can beat your ass again." And let me just say it has been confirmed official. Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, one-on-one, SummerSlam, the undisputed WWE Universal title on the line. We knew it was going to get there. We knew we needed to get there. We had to get there. We got there. It's done. It's official. Let's go. Ford Field in Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. Oh, by the way, for all you fans out there are still seats for this event. Only 3,000 seats left. They are predicting they're trying to go for about 50 to 60,000. They're not opening it completely, but they're trying to go about 50 to 60,000. And already 45,000 tickets sold for SummerSlam, and only 3,000 seats are left before we get to SRO. So, and already 8 matches confirmed. And we haven't even hit more. We haven't even hit the point. Remember, there's still a World Heavyweight title fight that hasn't been announced. There might be a tag team title fight that hasn't been announced. And LA Knight is not on the card yet. Don't worry. We'll get there. But let me just say it. 8 matches confirmed. 47,000 seats. 3,000 left before it goes into full sellout SRO level seats. SummerSlam is going to be the hottest night of the summer. And oh, by the way, they've already done it. They've already announced it. They're using the same staging that they did for Money in the Bank. The same staging that they did for the Backlash when they did it in Puerto Rico. That little, that staging that they did for last year's SummerSlam. They're using that. The curve ramp, that intimate setting. They've already announced it. They're doing it that way. Dude, I like it because it's like old school WWE. This is what the old school WWF used to do with the curve ramp when it used to have that WWE logo up on the top, with it being the curve thing or whatnot. I like it because it gives me that remnant, because it reminds me of WrestleMania 8, Anthony. It does. It gives me that WrestleMania 8 feel. Oh, so let's do it, man. If it's not broke, don't fix it. It's more intimate. The fans love it. I like it. Now I know the fans want to see the big stage, that $1 billion staging like they do for Saudi Arabia or WrestleMania. No. Do it more intimate. Do it this way. This is what WWE is all about. And it's cost cutting. They don't break the bank on the staging. And I love it because that's exactly what it needs to be. And I feel it's more better this way. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. Oh boy, MF, you're hype man. Hype man's already at it. You're getting me going here, MF. I'm loving it. But to get in to put the perspective on the closing segment there, Jey Uso returned to MSG and took a show's worth of frustration out on Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa before laying down the challenge to the Tribal Chief for one last battle between them. An angry yet hesitant Reigns appeared dismayed as the show ended on a cliffhanger, leaving fans to wonder if the head of the table would accept the challenge or find a way to weasel out of a war with his cousin that has been 3 years in the making. It was good, high intensity. It was a good, high intensity segment that perfectly bookended a show that was largely about the bloodline drama. Jey is the perfect opponent, and an argument can certainly be made that he should be the one to dethrone Reigns. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen, but the fans certainly appear to be behind the idea of it, if nothing else. And Jey simply said, "You better accept my challenge so I can beat your ass," as he exclaimed to close out the show moments after laying the undisputed Universal Championship belt on the apron, essentially daring his cousin to come get it. Unbelievable. And 45,000 tickets. 50 to 60. I think we're definitely looking at 50 to 60,000 on that one, MF. And as we get into and as I get ready for the overall review, SummerSlam, I got to do the gorilla. I got to throw you that gorilla bone there, MF, that monsoon bone. it's going to be something else and happening, isn't it?
Mm.
So there's no doubt. So I heard some very interesting things about last night's Smackdown there. I heard a report came out today at last night's show set records in Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
15,182 the attendance. According to what I heard, it was a big night at the box office because after the show aired, the company tweeted that it was the highest grossing WWE event ever. Let me say that again. Highest grossing event ever at Madison Square Garden, which is impressive considering the company has been going there for 60 years. Obviously, the cost of tickets are always going up, and it's still an impressive record to break. And it was also announced by WWE that it was the highest grossing domestic SmackDown in history. Considering SmackDown has been on the air for 24 years as of this August, that's another tremendous number to be proud of. Those records for WWE and MSG are impressive and also follow records that took place last week at SmackDown and at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view in London. It was announced by Papa H that Money in the Bank was the highest grossing arena event in the history of WWE. And last week's SmackDown was also the highest grossing SmackDown in WWE history. But last night, MF, your show, SmackDown, Friday Night SmackDown, or I know you still like to call it SmackDown Live, and that's cool, but you most definitely need to take a bow and pat yourself on the back, man, because setting those records, making history, Monsoon. I mean, and whenever we do the commentary for anything at MSG, even if it's a TV, we bring the Gorilla and Jesse to that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like this is one of those times where we tell Michael Bullock, take a night off, don't even come. Let me and Florio run this show, and this is where Bullock gets relegated to the back, locker room business, because normally if it's MSG, it's me and Florio. There's nobody else. So
and how many things have we covered there between SmackDowns, Raws, and pay-per-views?
Oh God, a bunch. So many.
Whether it was at ringside or whether it was the stage announce table a la Raw, I mean, you name it, we've done it. And
like we said, if it's any other show, we normally have Michael Bullock, and when it's Madison Square Garden, we go as old school can come. It's just me and Florio.
Yep, with the let's go back and take a look at all this stuff that went down only moments ago, and of course our Gorilla and Jesse banter. I mean,
yep.
And maybe even some Bobby banter as well. So, oh yeah. So
trust me, our little banter has definitely won us a few fans along the way.
So, not to name any names, but Jen Ellis.
No, not to name it. Well.
Yeah, not to name any names, but
I didn't want to.
Yeah, but we know
you name dropped. So I can't say anything.
Just an example.
Just an example.
But anyways, overall review here. I got to give this somewhere in excess of. I could probably go maybe 8.5. The only reason why it's not higher is because there were some rough patches. I mean, AJ Styles and Karrion Kross. No feud in WWE right now is more half-assed than that one, and I'm telling it like it is. But if Kross is injured, then I guess I can understand. But I was expecting a much better match with those two, but unfortunately, that ended up being a 1-star effort, and then that segment with the women. With Asuka, Charlotte, and Bianca. And Charlotte Flair, let's just say, if you saw Charlotte's outfit last night, too hot for TV and not PG, friends. No. No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The password is see-through. That's the password. So, But other than that, WWE's return to Madison Square Garden was a story of 2 shows. The stuff with the Bloodline was extraordinary. Everything hit, and by this time next week, we will likely have the SummerSlam main event between Jey Uso and Roman Reigns made official. Even the stuff with Edge and Grayson Waller was solid and did a lot to help elevate the Aussie in the eyes of the audience. Then there was everything else. Show's timing was abysmal, with way too many segments and matches feeling rushed or inconsequential due to the lack of time afforded them. The women's division segment and the Styles Cross match in particular were curious additions to the show, if only because there was barely any time to give them anything meaningful to accomplish. They happened because they involved top stars, but neither of the segments had anything to say because there was no time to do so. They just happened, and that should never be the case when television time is such a hot commodity in WWE. The big stuff ultimately earns the show this high rating, but Triple H and company have to be more aware of timing before jam-packing a card with overly rushed segments that are inconsequential. But I'm going to give it 8, maybe 8.5. The Bloodline stuff, like I said, extraordinary. Edge and Grayson Waller, fantastic match. U.S. title match was great. And those were the things that did it. The crowd was that crowd was fun. I mean, New York.
MSG, man. It's the Garden. You knew they were going to bring it. You know they're going to bring it.
It's an IWC capital. I mean, it is one of the pillars of the IWC. Even though Chicago, of course, that's the IWC capital of the world. Oh, by the way, it was announced yesterday, Survivor Series is going to be there this year. Oh, yeah. Third time, 1989 and 2019. So November 25th, Thanksgiving weekend. We're going to have a loaded. You want to talk about celebrating Turkey Day the ravishing way? There you go, right there. Don't get no better than that. Along with the football, along with the big dinner with the family and the football and all that, NFL and college. Oh yeah,
it's on the Sunday, right? The Sunday after Thanksgiving. Oh, the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
The 25th, November 25th. Just like last year, just like the last one. That was a Saturday night.
Yes.
The War Games in Boston.
Now the fans are a little miffed because they haven't mentioned War Games yet. Now there was a rumor that they were thinking about going back to the Raw, SmackDown, NXT War. Now I don't know if that's confirmed, denied. We don't know yet, but it looks like they might be doing that battle again. So it looks like they're gonna go into that.
That's 4.5 months away. So
yeah,
a lot can change in 4.5 months. Trust us, it certainly can. But
I'll say one thing for sure: if somebody yells out "War Games," sound that alarm, and here we go.
Nobody can. The only person who can get away with doing that is Mr. William Regal.
He is a part of the WWE right now. He could.
Yeah, but he can't be on TV yet. So he can't be on TV until next year because of that ridiculous clause that I think Tony Khan had.
From AEW. Yep.
Yeah, since he was coming from AEW.
Or maybe that's why maybe they're not doing War Games this year. Maybe have Regal. Maybe at the time when that contract expires, then we might have him show up to say those 2 infamous words.
Yeah, but nonetheless, it's Survivor Series. It's Chicago, and it's the IWC capital of the world with one of the biggest events of the year.
Yeah.
And my personal favorite event of the year because of the traditional Survivor Series elimination matches, which I'm hoping we get at least 1 or 2 of this time around. But, we'll see. We'll see. Even though War Games was a resounding success. So, but we'll find out. But it's an 8, maybe 8.5 for the show last night. If it wasn't for those couple of disastrous things, we would have been talking a much higher rating. But the Bloodline segments, Edge and Waller, U.S. title, those are the things you got to go out of your way to see. Everything else, not required viewing. So that's all there is to say on that. So 8, 8.5, Madison Square Garden, they did it again. And, and then let's also remember that during the show, WWE, showed so many of showed clips of those. They did several montages of all of the history making moments in 60 years of Madison Square Garden. And that's another reason for the high rating as well, because that production team, they know what they're doing, and they always do a top-notch job. And whether it's paying tribute to a deceased superstar, most recently Darren Drozdov, but I mean, seeing all those moments that we remember, and even those moments from yesteryear where we weren't even born yet. I mean, those were nice touches, like the Bruno Sammartino days, and WrestleManias, and we don't have enough time to name them all, but
no.
But the ones that really did it for me, showing the moment when Triple H came back on that Monday Night Raw in 2002, the biggest pop in the history of the Garden. I mean, man, was that a moment. And Razor and Shawn's ladder match. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but wow, it's just so special. Madison Square Garden is just so damn special, and you all wonder why that arena holds a special place, not just in my heart, but MF's heart especially. And I remember, MF, one time you were in New York City with your family, and you even had a moment there. You were near it. Were you ever? Did you set foot in that hallowed hall?
I was on the outside of Madison Square Garden. Okay. I was in the hallway of the Garden. So I got there, but I didn't go beyond into the arena. But I was right in the hallowed halls. So I was pretty close to the Garden. So I was basically on that escalator. I was on that, like, the little entranceway. The only thing I didn't get to was to step beyond and get into Madison Square Garden. But I got to see the outside of it. I got to see basically all of the stuff that they got. Like, it's so different now. Like, I could imagine how different it must be now. But when I was there, it was right around the time before WrestleMania 20. That's how close I was. And as a matter of fact, to really hit home, they had that iconic logo on their screen promoting upcoming events that they normally do. And that was the thing that I saw. The first thing I saw was the WrestleMania 10 logo, not 2010.
Oh, man. Yeah, a WrestleMania I hold near and dear to my heart because of how it ended. But, but then again, I can say the same thing about 20 too. But then again, when it comes to 20, it's both of us because, hello, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, that legendary moment. But yeah, we have a lot of bucket list moments in our lives, but one bucket list moment, MF, is for one of us or both of us to set foot in the hallowed halls of the Garden. That would be the thrill of a lifetime.
I could probably pull it off. I just have to make some. I would have to call and make some connections, but I think it's more possible than anything else for us to pull it off.
And I would love to get the gentleman who just joined us in there too. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Make it a man's trip that we'll never forget. So, and we've had many memorable moments, the three of us. So, but the hallowed halls of Madison Square Garden. I mean, in the immortal words of our boys, Danger Boy Alfredo and Wolverine MF, it doesn't get any better than that. Woo! Yep. Beat up here, MF. Let's catch him up. 8.5 for me. So, Michael Bullock, come on in. We were just wrapping up our review of last night's Friday Night Smackdown from the world's most famous arena, the hallowed halls of Madison Square Garden. 60 years worth of moments in the making.
All right, Bullock. So we're gonna set you up as always. We started off with the trial of Roman Reigns. Give me your thoughts, man.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I mean, I thought it was a good segment, and the thing is, I mean, it was everything what we expected. I mean, obviously, Roman once again trying to play the role of with basically trying to fool everyone, and I guess you could say, Fletch, this was pretty much a setup by him because
Yep.
Roman and Soul. I mean, don't think for a minute that the two of them had forgotten about what happened at Money in the Bank, and you knew that they were gonna get some payback, and boy howdy, in a big way. And let's just say, I mean, Jimmy Uso got the worst of it, so much so he got the worst end of it and got taken to the ambulance. So, and but don't worry, there's more where this came from later on in the night.
All right. First up, Austin Theory versus Sheamus. U.S. title on the line. Theory wins it in 13:47.
A solid match here. I'll give this about 3.25, 3.5. I mean, there was so much interference, obviously the craziness um, with the brawling brutes on the outside, along with Pretty Deadly, and, and somehow, some way, Austin Theory comes out of this match still the United States Heavyweight Champion. So the reign of Austin Theory continues.
All right. Next up, we had was AJ Styles versus Karrion Cross. AJ winning in 2:38. We actually did not give a rating for the match, so we'll just blow right by that. Then we had Edge versus Grayson Waller. Edge winning the match in 14:42.
And let's not forget, MF, this was actually Grayson Waller's first official match on the main roster. And he got to go up against the Hall of Famer. So I thought it was a fine match. I'll give this about another 3.5 star rating. And yeah, so there's nothing more to say.
Then Roman Reigns coming back out, interrupted by Jey Uso, and he lays the challenge for the title match at SummerSlam. Give me your thoughts on the closing segment.
Yeah, no surprise on this one. I mean, Jey Uso was going to get his payback, and that's exactly what he did here. And yeah, he basically gets payback, and like you said, then lays down the challenge for SummerSlam. Jey Uso and Roman Reigns for the undisputed Universal Championship. Yeah, I mean, if you thought the first encounter was crazy, I think this is going to be even more crazier, especially with the turn of events we've seen lately here. So we'll see what happens here to see if Roman actually does take the challenge. So nice way to close it out. And as far as my overall thoughts on this show, I'll give this the same rating of 8.5. And I mean, what can you say, guys? I mean, you know that WWE tries to do their best when it comes to, especially when they're performing at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. I mean, that the hallowed histories of that sacred ground. I mean, so many great superstars of the past have roamed through those hallowed halls, and we've seen so many great shows when it comes to this, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, or any premium live events. There's just something special about it when it comes to Madison Square Garden. I mean, a lot of great memories of that sacred ground, and we just saw another good thing when it comes to this. So 8.5 for me. So now let's get to the latest installment of AEW Collision.
And it was from Regina, Saskatchewan. So we got at the Bryant Center, and here we go. So we started off with well, there was a promo segment by CM Punk. Then we started off with the first fight of the night. It was Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ricky Starks in the Owen Hart Foundation Cup semifinal match. Ricky Starks is going to the Saddle Dome to fight in the final. He wins it in 10 minutes and 55 seconds. A little bit of an upset. I didn't expect this to happen. I think it was a little clunky in some areas. I will say that. It was about a 3-star match. But Powerhouse Hobbs got pissed at QT Marshall and he's walked out on the crew. He dumped them. So what does that mean for Powerhouse Hobbs? We don't know. But all we know is that definitely now things have gotten very interesting. Ricky Starks is going to the finals. He now has a shot at becoming the Owen Hart Foundation champion. Anthony, it's yours.
Before I get into that, MF, as the quote-unquote Port Authority of all things Canada, it's not Regina, it's Regina. That's how we pronounce it.
All right. There's always been that debate. It doesn't matter. It's, you know what? It's an American versus Canadian thing. Everybody says Regina. We call it Regina. The way it's pronounced is always, that's always been a debate. That's nothing new, Florio. That's a hot topic. You just started an age-old debate right before our very eyes, Florio.
I think that's one, Florio. I think you should have left alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps I probably should have, but
because because now all of our Canadian friends might be coming after us for this.
And here's another thing to think, Fletch. I mean, Florio is a Canadian guy, especially when it comes to the Hart family. I mean,
yes.
and
including Owen.
you had the nerve, Florio, to go there like that.
No. But wait a minute. In Florio's defense, he's siding with the Canadians. That's how the Canadians pronounce it. That's how they use it. So no, Florio is defending them per the usual. It's just that, like I said, there's always been a debate about how you pronounce it. It's nothing. It's not a big deal. We're just making it's just father for it's father for a debate that's gonna probably rage. If it's one way or the other. I'm not mad about it. No, he's fine. It's good.
Yeah. That's all. So,
like I said, it was. You just started the age-old debate. It's nothing new. Because I know, the way I read it, it says Regina. But the thing is, Canadians pronounce it Regina, right?
Right.
So that's how it goes. That's what it is. No big deal. No big deal.
Yep. No, not at all. So, if I offended anybody, I apologize. So
I don't think you offended anybody. I don't think so.
Okay.
Besides, you were defending them. I think they'd be happy that an American is actually defending the Canadian values. I think they actually be more happier with you more than they are with me right now.
Yeah, and not just all things Canada, but all things Hart family. I mean,
yes.
Especially, I mean, not just my man Brett, but Owen as well. So, but anyways. All kidding aside, 3 1/4-star match. I mean, this match had a steady pace. It was more about Powerhouse Hobbs methodically inflicting damage than trying to squeeze in as many moves as they could. It helped make Ricky Starks look more like an underdog. So whenever he would try to get the upper hand, the crowd would get behind him. It worked well because whenever he started to make some progress, the crowd popped. Referee Aubrey Edwards was too distracted by QT Marshall to see that Powerhouse Hobbs had the match won, so it gave Ricky enough time to recover and hit a spear for the win. Hobbs was irate and pushed QT Marshall to the mat when he tried to explain himself. And he also delivered a spine buster to Aaron Solo before the lovely Harley Cameron threw herself in front of QT to save him from Hobbs' wrath. Before the show began, Tony Khan announced that Willow Nightingale was injured and would be unable to compete on this show against Athena. That match has been bumped to Friday night on Rampage. Nigel McGuinness did a great job recapping the history between Starks and Hobbs in a short amount of time. And Powerhouse Hobbs with his little tribute to Owen with that pink and black gear, nice touch. Ricky Starks is an underrated striker. He has a good punch, which is not something that can be said about every pro wrestler. And the Tornado DDT Ricky Starks tried to hit did not work out well at all. It's unfortunate because that is one of his better signature moves. But big win for absolute Ricky Starks. And next week, he has an opportunity for the biggest win of his AEW career, bigger than when he beat Chris Jericho at the start of this year. So
because it's the final.
Yeah. And
at the Saddle Dome.
Regardless of whether it's Samoa Joe or CM Punk. I mean, that's huge either way. So to beat a guy the caliber of a Samoa Joe or a CM Punk, how's that not the biggest win of your career? Hello. So there isn't much more that needs to be said on that. So this was a 3.25 star match for me. So Michael Bullock, Ricky Starks, 1 week from tonight at the Saddle Dome in Calgary with an opportunity at, without a doubt, the biggest win of his professional wrestling career.
Yeah, he has a chance to definitely make some history and win the Owen Hart tournament. I mean, basically, what can you say about Ricky Starks? I mean, he continues to amaze me every single time, and this is nothing new. So, yeah, so a 3.25 star match, and regardless of who he faces in the final, this is definitely going to be the biggest match of Ricky Stark's life since beating Chris Jericho. So, nothing more to say. Let's move on, Fletch.
All right, next up we had was Julia Hart. She won in a squash match in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It was more of a spotlight fight, nothing more to say. Next up we had was an AEW Tag Team Eliminator, as it was Jay White and Juice Robinson from basically it was the Bullet Club Gold. And they went up against the reigning tag team champions, FTR, winners of the bout. In 28 minutes, Juice Robinson, Jay White, Bullet Club Gold, Anthony, Championship Committee moment.
Oh, yes. It's not often we say this on television, but we're going to say this anyway. At least I am, and maybe you guys will as well. 5-star classic. You heard it here first. This was a 5-star classic. I don't give a damn what anybody says. This was a fantastic and great back and forth match that showcased both teams well. FTR looked like fighting champions, and Bullet Club Gold looked like opportunistic heels. They were given 3 segments for this match, so they had plenty of time to tell a story. After several close calls and near falls, Juice Robinson barely managed to get the pin on Dax Harwood before Cash Wheeler was able to break it up. This was outstanding and definitely worth taking the time to watch if you did not see the show live. Jay White. MF, I know you can't stand the guy, but I have to give him his props. He is such a great heel. His mannerisms and body language all seem calculated to make you hate him. But he's so good at his job that it's hard to hate him at the same time. Robinson almost didn't make it over when Wheeler used a monkey flip. MF. He was fine, but it was almost a bad landing. Harwood was not holding back with some of the chops he was using on Robinson. And this match likely got more time due to the postponement of the match, the scheduled match between Athena and Willow Nightingale. That ended up being a blessing in disguise, even though we wish Willow the best. And Friday on Rampage, we'll get that match. So, but what a blessing that turned out to be. So we ended up getting a 5-star match on free television. It's not often we get that, but we damn sure got one here. And if you thought tonight was good, wait till next week. because we're getting that match next week, MF and Bullock. World Tag Team Championship, FTR versus Jay White and Juice Robinson. Are you ready for this, Bullock and MF, and especially UMF? Intercontinental rules. You know what that means.
2 out of 3 falls.
2 out of 3.
Oh my gosh! If you thought this match tonight was a banger, 2 out of 3 falls. Whew. Oh man, I think we're looking at a match of the year candidate.
Yeah.
Tonight was a match of the year candidate.
Tonight was a match of the year candidate.
This one next week could be even better.
Yeah, because with the titles on the line and everything else, this could be the tag team fight of the year. We might have the fight, because right now the fight of the year is probably Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos from WrestleMania. Definitely. This one is definitely within the conversation. I don't know if you can say it was better than Zayn and Owens and the Usos.
No.
But next week could top it.
Oh.
Next week definitely has a chance to top it.
Especially because this match had 28 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh. How much time are they going to get next week? We're going to have to wait and find out. But all I know is this was a fantastic match. I could probably say this was the best match in the short history of Collision right here. So, and it could be, and next week could be even better. So go out of your way to see it if you didn't get a chance to, or if you just want to see it again, because this was absolutely magical. This was a masterclass, guys. I knew the match was going to be good. I didn't think it was going to be that good. They overshadowed CM Punk and Samoa Joe, because this match tonight, it was built around CM Punk and Samoa Joe, but yet they overshadowed them. And like I said, it was also because of the Athena and Willow match getting postponed because of Willow's injury. A blessing in disguise. So not much more to say. 5-star classic, fight of the night, and the best match in the short history of AEW Collision. But that could only last a week. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, what else is there to say? I mean, you thought tonight was great. Wait till next week. Those two teams again for the titles. Intercontinental rules, 2 out of 3 falls in Calgary. Let's go.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait for this. I mean, if you thought the match tonight was damn good, wait till next week. I mean, Intercontinental rules, 2 out of 3 falls. I think this could challenge Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens against the Usos at WrestleMania for the tag team match of the year. But we'll wait and see how it goes. But for right now, I'm with Florio. I'm going to give this a 5-star classic. It's not too often that we get this on free TV, especially here on this edition of Saturday Collision. And yeah, maybe the cancellation, the postponement, I should say, of Athena and Willow Nightingale in that semifinal match, I mean, was probably a blessing in disguise. Even though we wish Willow nothing but the best, but man, I mean, I cannot wait for this. I'm just so excited about it. So 5 stars. I don't care what anybody says. So it's yours, Fletch.
Total agreement. It is a 5-star classic. This was amazing. There's really nothing more to add there. When you talk about best fights, that's it, guys. Next up, Scorpio Sky versus Action Andretti. Scorpio Sky winning in 7 minutes and 30 seconds. So, Michael Bullock, it's yours. Bullock?
What are we talking about?
Scorpio Sky versus Action Andretti. Scorpio Sky winning in 7:30.
2.5 stars on this one. I mean, it was a fine match. I mean, yeah, I mean, good to see Scorpio Sky back in action here, and yeah, I mean, and he looked really good. So nothing more to say. I mean, it's a 2.5-star match. It's yours, Fletch. Fletch, are you there?
I mean, his mic is on.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I mean, well, he just muted
Can you guys
himself.
hear me?
Yep.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, all right. I don't know. My connection just kind of went a little. You know how you have that little antenna thingy, and it sometimes the antenna goes, and then it went from like zero, like there was like no sound, so I had nothing. I think that's what happened. I think I just lost audio there for a second. I don't know. The audio dropped, so I could hear you guys. You guys just couldn't hear me. So 2.25, 2.5. I was gonna say, I gotta call out AEW's booking, man. I mean, all right, nice one for Scorpio Sky, but you did it on Action Andretti. I mean, Andretti came out like a house of fire, had a lot of great things. All of a sudden, he's petered off. He's basically become irrelevant in AEW. I'm like, what the heck? I mean, did he do something in the locker room that pissed the guys off? What is going on? I mean, this has been some lousy booking on the part of Tony Khan and the boys to minimize and damage Action Andretti. I mean, I really don't know. I really don't like this. So I'm a little concerned for Action Andretti more than anything else. It was a solid match, but Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, both men worked as baby faces, but the crowd was definitely on Scorpio Sky's side. Andretti was not being booed, but cheers could only really be heard during Sky's moments of offense. Andretti was able to gain the upper hand after a commercial break, but Sky blocked the moonsault with a pair of knees to regain control so he could hit the TKO for the win. This was exactly the kind of match Sky needed for his return. He and Andretti had great chemistry, and they put on a fun display of high-energy wrestling. It's too bad that SCU isn't a thing anymore. That was such a fun group. Action Andretti is so agile that he almost went too far when he kicked up to his feet. Andretti's tope suicida was about as perfect as it gets. He made zero contact with the ropes when he flew between them. That takes a lot of precision. And Sky helping Andretti up and shaking his hand was a nice touch. 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star. Nice cool down match after that instant classic the match before. But it led in. I do believe this led into the big one, the match that we were all waiting for, and a rivalry that good old MF Michael Fletcher knows very well because of his religious following of Ring of Honor. So, MF, the latest chapter in what many ROH experts, and I know you're one of them, call the greatest trilogy in ROH history.
It was Samoa Joe versus CM Punk one-on-one, the second semifinal match of the Owen Hart Memorial Classic. And when it was all said and done, the winner of the bout in 15 minutes and 40 seconds and advancing to the finals is CM Punk. He will be facing off with Ricky Starks next week. Look, I'm just going to say it, man. This was as good of a battle. It wasn't the best battle out there, but it was a good battle. It was a good fight. I enjoyed it. This was about, I would say about another 3.25, 3.5. It was a solid main event. After the match was over, basically Samoa Joe doing the code of honor, a la Ring of Honor, as you guys know, the handshake after the match. Punk was reluctant. He did it, but it paid a price because the next thing you know, Samoa Joe slapped in Anthony Florio and Michael Bullock's favorite move,
the Coquita Clutch. Ain't that right, Bullock? Coquita Clutch.
Oh, that is 100% right. It is the Coquita Clutch.
He clutched him, got him hooked. FTR made the save, but the damage was done. Oh man, what a match! Good battle, like I said. Like I said, 3.25, 3.5. Nothing more to say. Was I surprised that he clutched him? No, not at all. But it was what it was. He got him hooked, and man, I mean, Joe being Joe, that's all I can say. Even with the rivalry, there's still some bad blood between the two. Nothing more to say, Anthony. It's yours.
The story they were telling in this bout was that CM Punk knew the strategies Joe used during their first 3 encounters in ROH didn't work. So he was trying different tactics. Unfortunately for him, Joe has seen it all. And they paced themselves so each sequence became more and more competitive. Like when Joe countered the GTS and locked in the crossface, Punk really sold the possibility of him tapping out, but he was able to break free. In a somewhat surprising but logical finish, Punk was able to win with a victory roll pinning combination instead of one of his finishers. Not only does this make sense based on their previous encounters, but it leaves room for a rematch on a bigger stage down the line. Joe was clearly mad that he lost, but extended his hand to Punk as a sign of respect. Punk shook it, but that allowed Joe to grab him in the Coquita clutch to choke him out. FTR ran down to prevent Joe from using a steel chair. The show ended with Ricky Starks on the stage looking at Punk and FTR in the ring. Samoa Joe is one of the most intimidating men in the history of professional wrestling. Everything about him comes across as legit. CM Punk had some Owen inspired gear as well. Nice touch. Owen tribute shorts on for this match. They both referenced Owen and called back to his Ring of Honor ring gear. They made quite a few references to their previous encounters throughout the match, but they didn't do it too much, so it felt like the greatest hits of their past fights. And Samoa Joe's snap power slam is a thing of beauty. I think with all due respect to MF, you slightly underscored it. This was a solid 4 stars. Second best fight of the night for me. So 4, maybe 4.25 for this. So there isn't much more to say. Michael Bullock, Ricky Starks, CM Punk for the Owen Hart Foundation Cup next Saturday in Calgary. The biggest match of Ricky Starks' career. Nothing new for CM Punk. This ain't his first rodeo when it comes to high stakes main event matches, but this is a completely different ball game for one absolute Ricky Starks. So 4.25, second best fight of the night. Michael Bullock, let's get your thoughts on CM Punk knocking off Joe to go to the finals against Ricky Starks next week.
Yeah, 4 stars for me on this one. I mean, I thought this was a good match here. I mean, no surprise with the outcome. And now it's going to be CM Punk and Ricky Starks 1-on-1 for the right to be named the winner of the Owen Hart Cup. I mean, I cannot wait to see how this goes down come when they face each other. So there's really nothing more to say. Let's get to overall thoughts.
All right. It starts with Anthony Floyo.
9 out of 10. Out of the 4 episodes of Collision we've had up to this point, this was arguably the best in terms of action and storytelling. Ricky Starks got a nice win over Powerhouse Hobbs. Scorpio Sky had a great showing in his return match against Action Andretti in a fun little sprint. Julia Hart scored another win to extend her streak to 24. FTR and along with Juice Robinson and Jay White put on an absolute banger and the best and greatest match in the short history of this show. And the show closed with another great chapter in the story of CM Punk and Samoa Joe. For some it will be hard to say what the match of the night was, though. But if you like storytelling, then Punk versus Joe in that regard. But when it comes to exciting in-ring action, then it's the tag match. AEW's newest show has established a slightly different vibe than Dynamite, which seems to be working in its favor. All in all, this was a great 2 hours of graps here. Only one bad match, but everything else, all the other matches were solid to good to great. And go out of your way to watch this show. You can skip the Julia Hart match, but I think other than that, I think everything else other than that was, like I said, solid to good to great. So this is easily a 9 out of 10 for me. So Michael Bullock, the best Collision show so far, which also featured the best match in the short history of Collision, that 5-star banger with FTR, Juice Robinson, and Jay White. And you thought tonight was good. Wait till next week in that Intercontinental Rules match.
Yeah, I cannot wait for this. So yeah, 9 out of 10. I mean, the Julia Hart match, I mean, you could basically skip through, but everything else is definitely worth watching. I mean, including the 5-star match with FTR against Juice Robinson and Jay White. So nothing more to say. Let's take it home.
9 out of 10, total agreement, no doubt about it. Excellent show. Like you said, best Collision. Hopefully the ratings definitely reflect it, because they've been struggling ratings wise, man. They ever since the first episode that was actually really good, which was almost about 800,000, over 800,000. They've been slipping like week after week. There's been poor showings, poor everything. So people are hoping that this will be the moment where they turn everything around and we'll go from there. But yeah, at the end of the day, this was definitely a great show. So that's it. We're done. We're out of here. On Monday night, we do it all over again, starting with Ridiculously Raw, hosted by Anthony Florio. Monday Night Raw, he's got his Tony's Take. Wednesday is Wednesday Night Madness, which is AEW and NXT recaps. And then Thursday, Thursday is TXN Sports World. We got ESPY Awards, All-Star Game. We also have the Big Three.
Home Run Derby.
Yeah, so everything about Major League Baseball. This is the All-Star Weekend, and we'll talk about everything there. And then we do this all over again 1 week from tonight. Another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. Thank you, Michael Bullock. Thank you, Anthony Florio. Thank you guys, as always. Like the video, leave a comment at the bottom. Share with all your friends on all the social media platforms around the world. And until then, we'll see you on Monday. So long, everybody.